Alright, chat. If y'all don't know who Skeeter Jean is, the Skeeter Jean dude, I was on his video. I'm finna show y'all. Tell your boy hit me up, man. Stop playing. Everybody in the video saying I'm the funniest nigga alive. Who's the DoorDasher? The DoorDasher, nigga, it's me. Let me. What is this, Skeeter? I'm gonna just search him out. Skeeter Jean, right here.
In the college
Alright, so right now the video has. You see the guy in the front row singing his
setting, this is your first impression, your first time. You want to put your best foot forward. I'm Lauren Taylor.
Me right there, and I didn't realize I was so fucking fat, even though this was a couple months.
You just look guilty, bro. I'm telling you, bro.
Bro, look at this nigga, bro. Look at this. Yeah, I told you, look like he did that shit. She fine as hell too, though. But bro, oh my soul. But yeah, bro, check this out, bro. And look at the comments, gang. The DoorDasher climbing the paydown was the best part of the video. It had me laughing so hard. The dude climbing the video was hilarious, bro. Like everybody was fucking with me, bro. The amount of laughter, that shit, bro. Come on, bro. Come on. We need Big Homie on the next catch, bro. Come on. Wait. He liked it though, so bro, this nigga need to hit me up, bro. If he hit me up, bro, we can. On my mama, man, stop playing, bro. And he a cool ass nigga. Also a strong ass nigga too. What's that word? You, hold on.
She was about to come pick up, some gas money or whatever. So we get to the house, and she coming in, and she's like, oh, this is not it, da 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 da. Which, okay, cool, I agree. It's not. And nobody should want to be like that. You know what I'm saying? But you the same motherfucker talking about some, oh, this gonna make you stronger. So when I say...
Wait, who said that?
The mother.
She said, "What's gonna make you stronger?"
She said, this gonna make you stronger. Basically she...
Coming back to Michigan?
Situation. No, I'm saying like...
Oh, just thugging. Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I got you.
So, I'm, relating to the shit. Ooh. Now I say, okay, no, nobody wants to go through this woo-woo, but my situation, what I'm supposed to say?
Game of Thrones King's Road is now available on both PC and mobile with Google Play Games.
Right now and head out. Gotcha. Well, let me get this right. You guys met on Fortnite, and now you're here meeting in person.
Yeah.
Wait, so Larry, how old are you?
40.
40.
Yeah.
You're 40. You look a little older than 40.
40.
I'm 38. Okay. Okay. Well, it's just a little odd to me.
No,
We're just playing Fortnite.
You're just playing Fortnite.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Now that I think about it, your dad did go through your phone recently and send some messages that you were talking to
My dad?
to an older person. I think it was someone named Larry. Now that I think about it,
When did he go through my phone?
it was. You know, me and your dad are best friends.
Yeah, but
It was
when
just
did
recently.
he
I
went
think.
through my phone.
Wait a minute. Actually, I think he sent me everything. I think it is that. So Larry, will this be your picture here?
Yeah, that's me.
That is you. So you didn't meet my niece here on Fortnite, did you?
Yeah. Oh, excuse me.
So let me ask you, Larry, are you here to have a Baja Blast with? Because you know she's my niece.
Yes, I know she's.
So
I have other plans on this.
you had other plans. Let me get
No,
this.
I have no other plans.
Let me ask you, what are you thinking here, Larry?
I think I will.
What's that?
I don't know.
Okay. I need to sit down and have a chat with you. Okay. Excuse me, Carly. Let me. If you could just. So, Larry. Now, I'm best friends with her dad, and I manage this Taco Bell.
Yeah.
Okay. What's going on? This is really a concern to me.
No, that would just what. Number one, I think she kind of wanted like a father figure, and I.
She wanted a father. She already has a father figure. She has a dad, and he's there. He's present in her life. So what are you doing here meeting her?
What's going on? I need to play Fortnite.
Play Fortnite.
Yeah.
Now, Larry, you know, I do have the chat log.
Yeah.
The dad went through her phone recently, sent me all the screenshots.
Yeah.
Okay? I know you weren't talking to her on Fortnite.
Yeah.
You met her on Facebook dating, which she's not even supposed to be on it.
Yeah.
Okay? Me and her dad both talked to her about it already.
Yeah.
She's a little rebellious. She's going through that stage. She's a teenager.
Yeah.
She's starting high school this year.
Yeah.
So she's going through that.
Yeah.
So why lie to me and tell me that you met her on Fortnite? When I know for a fact, I read through the messages briefly, and I told her that I was going to see if I could get on it and get something done about it.
Yeah.
You mentioned you wanted to have oral sex with her.
No, I said that's a possibility. I didn't say I would.
It's a possibility. Well, Larry, is this funny to you,
No,
Larry?
it's not funny to me at all.
What's with the continuous? Is it a nervous laughter?
It's very nervous.
Very nervous.
So
So
you're
you're
getting a nervous sweat.
so you're nervous right now.
Yes.
I can imagine so.
I've never met someone.
Okay. Well, she did, and she told you off rip that she was, right, Larry?
Yeah. First she said she was 21, and then she said she was.
Is that maybe what her dating profile said? Did her dating profile say 21?
Yeah.
It said so. She didn't actually tell you she was 21. And then at one point you asked her if she's ever performed oral on a guy. I think it was.
Yeah.
Why'd you want to know that?
Just experience.
Want to know how experienced she was?
Yeah. Because I will never be with anybody that has
Right, but
done nothing.
so what were your intentions today meeting her?
Today we're going to go to the park and have a picnic, but we got
Okay.
here so late.
Okay. Well, what kind of picnic involves oral sex, Larry?
Wasn't gonna do no oral.
Were you trying to have
nothing today?
Were you trying to have
today was just gonna be a talk and meet,
Okay.
and that's it.
Were you trying to have a naughty picnic with her?
No.
Maybe were you trying to give her a beefy 5-layer burrito or getting her $5 box? I mean,
No, I have no, sir. No, sir.
so you didn't have any intentions of that. But Larry, it looks here to me like you talked about it. We're going to be right back with today's dose of Predator Pasta, but first, a quick word from today's video sponsor, Morgan & Morgan. There's a reason that most of these individuals absolutely crumble when the damning evidence of the chat log is presented before them. Just like there's a reason that Morgan & Morgan is America's biggest injury law firm with over 1,000 attorneys nationwide. And their results speak for themselves with over $25 billion recovered for over 500,000 clients. Morgan & Morgan has been fighting for the people for over 35 years, and if you become their client, they'll fight just as hard for you to get you the payout that you deserve. Hiring Morgan & Morgan is like hiring a legal army that always has your back. If you're ever injured, you can check out Morgan & Morgan by heading on over to forthepeople.com/Skeeter, and their fee is completely free unless they win.
Want to actually reach your health goals by summer? Factor makes it so easy.
Thanks to Factor, eating clean, even on the longest workout days, is so easy. I'm staying ahead of my meal prep with protein-packed meals I actually look forward to eating. I can pick protein-heavy meals, keep it keto, whatever I need to feel my best and stay locked in. 2 minutes in the microwave and you're set. Everything's approved by dietitians too, so you know it's legit. First box is 50% off, so no excuses.
My work is easy because I use ClickUp. Here's how I keep track of all my tasks. I start by brain dumping everything I need to get done in a list view. Next, I set a priority and a due date to keep things on track. I create custom statuses to organize my progress exactly how I want. I like to add the action items field so AI can show me the next steps. I add my teammates as watchers so they're in the loop. ClickUp makes work easy, from personal projects to running a multi-billion-dollar company. Click the link below to create your workspace for free.
Well, yeah, we did talk about it.
Right.
I said
And-
most of the time it'd be 16 to 18. I said before
Yeah.
I ever did anything to you.
I see that, but I think at some point in here you said it would be okay if you did some of the oral things. I believe, I'll pull it up here.
No,
I believe you said that it would be okay if you did oral things and anything but penetration until she's. So what? In your opinion, why does she need to be for that to happen? Age? Is it because age of consent?
I'm gonna pass out.
No, Larry, just stay with me here. I just want to talk to you.
No, I'm gonna pass out.
Okay. Do you need a water? Do you want some? I can get you water. I'm the manager here.
Yeah. No,
I'll get you water.
This is like crazy. I'm gonna pass
Okay.
out.
Well, just calm down. Sit back. I don't want you to pass out.
You're real dizzy.
Okay. Just calm down. Do you have frequent episodes of this?
Every time I meet new people, I do.
What about when you were meeting her?
Yeah.
You weren't dizzy just a minute ago, were you?
I was nervous the whole way here.
You were nervous the whole way here, but you still decided to come and meet her. Why were you so nervous?
Because I just was.
Is it because she's and you're 54?
Yeah.
Not 40, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, Larry, you lied to me off rip.
I'll be 55 in a week.
It'd be 55 in a week, okay. And I mean, when you're talking about it, you even say that you love oral sex and you wouldn't stop until she's satisfied. So, what do you mean you weren't going to do that after some point when you met her? That's what it seems like to me. I mean, Larry, the transcripts are right here.
Yeah, I understand.
So how can you deny it? You know what you said.
I know what I said.
You can say
A lot of it was said when I was drinking or something.
You're drinking. So you were drinking.
I've been off work for a year because.
Okay, so you were drinking
my
at.
father passed away.
Okay, sorry to hear that.
I don't want to get her in trouble. I don't want to get in trouble either.
Well, I think we're more looking at you being in trouble. She's going to be in trouble with her dad.
Yeah, I know that.
Right, that's already.
But I don't want.
That's already going to happen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
She's going to have things taken away from her. She's not going to be on Fortnite anymore or Facebook dating, even though you didn't meet her on Fortnite.
Yeah.
You know, she's not going to have a phone for a while now.
That's why I lied.
Her dad doesn't play around
That's why
with
I
that.
lied because I'm so nervous. I said I've
Okay.
never done nothing like this before.
Do you have kids of your own?
No, just my dogs. That's all I'm taking. I
Dogs.
got my dogs and I got my
Okay.
dad's dog I inherited from him last year when he passed away.
Okay.
And
I'm
I
sorry to
said,
hear
I
that.
don't want to get in no trouble. I
Well-
told her that too. I don't want to get in trouble. I'll meet you.
Well-
We'll get something to eat. and-
Well, 54 equals trouble.
Yes,
Larry.
it does equal
So-
trouble, and I know it. And it, to me, those things that we would never, ever.
Well, it doesn't say.
Penetration.
Well, here
sex.
it says.
She told me. You know what? Maybe.
Well, Larry, let me stop you.
I'm soaking wet right now.
Okay,
Like
okay.
I said, I've never
hear
been in
you.
trouble in the law in my lifetime. And
I hear
remember
you.
that. The thing that made me easier to meet up with her is
Okay.
she's formed oral. of a 20-year-old.
That she's done it?
She's done it.
She's been in trouble with that before, so we know about that.
She didn't tell me nothing about getting in trouble about that.
She probably wouldn't.
Yeah, that's what made me feel a little more comfortable. Yeah. That she's experienced somewhat.
Right.
But
okay, sure.
And that made me say, okay. Well,
I've known her since she was this tall.
I wrote.
Okay.
I told her.
So she's always been.
Told her today. Just texted her. I told her that today, and.
Well, you did say here the answer is whatever you want, except for actual sex.
Yes.
Being that, and the reason you even said because she's not. I have it here. I have it all.
Yeah,
Larry.
I
have it all.
I was. I don't know, but the 20-year-old thing made me feel more at ease hanging out with her.
So being that she has been with someone older before when she was younger, that made you feel more at ease.
It made me feel more comfortable, but still I wouldn't do that. And I would have intercourse with her. And
but you would have.
And I told her, I think earlier I told her, I wouldn't do nothing with her.
But you would suck. Well, let me stop you there. Take a breather. But it says, I understand, Larry, I can be a little intimidating. I get it.
You are. You're a... and I'm not. I don't mean a bad back, bad shoulders,
well,
bad
I
neck.
don't mean to be. I want you to relax.
No, I know.
But you talk about cuddling with her. At one point, you talk about sucking her boobs. So you're telling me you were okay with sucking her boobs?
Yes, a lot of that was at home.
What's that, Larry?
A lot of that was when I was at home getting messed up.
Well, you were at home drinking.
Yes.
You said that.
Sure.
So
drinking, smoking.
So when you were under the influence, I
get.
Yeah.
But
so do you think that's a good excuse?
No, I don't think it's good.
I mean, when someone gets pulled over and they're drunk and they get a DUI, are they excused because the alcohol influenced that decision?
No, sir.
Well, exactly. So it's just not a good excuse.
No, it's not.
Larry. And you even ask her after you sent a picture of your breakfast. Looks like you were having some sausage links here. You say, did you enjoy oral when it was done to you?
Yeah.
She says she did. And then you say you'll enjoy it even more with an old dude. And then you say, do you like your boobs sucked?
Yeah.
I mean, Larry, and this was, you were having your breakfast here. So this was in the morning.
I was never, because I was up pretty late that night.
You tell me you were messed up in the morning while making
probably
sausage.
Had residual effects because
So
some nights I smoke a lot of weed.
What do you smoke?
Marijuana. That's it.
You smoke weed?
Yes.
Okay.
And I haven't done any today.
Okay.
I don't do nothing outside my house. I mean, drinking. Yes, I'll go to the bar have a few drinks, but I don't do weed.
Okay.
And I don't get fucked up.
You must have been getting hammered the previous night.
I'm still my dad stuff. It's just
must be going hard.
Because that was.
Do you have a drinking problem?
I've actually cut back quite a bit. I drank quite a bit when my dad passed away, and I worked on myself. That's why I went to the doctor, and
I understand the sadness, Larry, but
that's not mine.
Could you use up to $750? Find it at BioLife. Up to $750 is waiting for you. Just donate plasma, get paid for each donation the same day, then treat yourself and treat your friends. Schedule your appointment today.
Some bad news. And then my mic was on. I didn't even notice it was on. But yeah, y'all tap in with this video, bro. A nigga in there talking shit. See that bitch got 800K. And going, see when I click this motherfucker, who the first person they talking about? The DoorDasher. Stop playing. Stop playing, brother. That's just how it go. Alright. And furthermore, let's get into this situation. So, there was a cave diver by the name of Floyd Collins. Y'all ever heard of this nigga? Hold on. There was another cave diver too I was watching. That shit was crazy. Alright.
Just 10 feet.
So I was watching it and I was like, I'm gonna go ahead and watch this shit on stream. Cause this shit, it's like some of this shit niggas just not finna do. White people have fun doing this type of shit. Niggas don't do this type of shit. So we finna see what the fuck happened to Doug.
When a caver makes an incredible discovery, his elation turns to dread as he faces a catastrophic failure deep in the earth. This is the fatal breakdown of the Floyd Collins tragedy. Floyd Collins was feeling electric. He had finally broken through to the long trapped passage he was working on in Sand Cave. A very narrow and corkscrewed tunnel led to this moment of discovery. It was Friday, January 30th, and he had spent weeks pulling out rocks, gravel, and sand to clear enough room for him to try to squeeze through a narrow fissure beneath the passage. Once he pushed himself down through the tiny crack, he slid down the wall for an 8-foot drop to the floor of a large cavern. The entire passage up to this point was basically crawling, squeezing, and inching along.
Niggas is not doing that.
Would surely have to widen the path for others to get
Look
in
at that shit.
and shore up the crumbling
Look, as soon as I gotta start going down to some shit, the only thing in my mind is how the fuck am I gonna get up?
walls
I'm
and
not
ceiling, but in time, he would be able to make it a paid tourist destination. This was Floyd's dream finally coming true. Unfortunately,
Wait, what that nigga said? He was doing
this
it for the
feeling,
pay?
but in time, he would be able to make it a paid tourist destination.
Okay. So a nigga out here getting active for the pay. It's respectable. Get money or die trying. This is what 50 Cent meant. This is what 50 Cent meant. Come on now, get your head in the game.
This was Floyd's dream finally coming true. Unfortunately, the gas lamp he was using for light was starting to run out of fuel.
Nigga, bring some batteries. Bring some batteries and some 50 Cent music. That's all you need, brother. You would have got out of there.
He scrambled back up the wall and pulled his body through the narrow crack, laying down in the angled passage that led back to the rest of the 140 feet of tunnel. When he pushed the lantern forward, the jagged surface caught the base and flipped the lamp. The light was out, and Floyd would have to travel the rest of the way in complete darkness. He laid on his back and used his legs to slide his body across the rough rocks below him. He knew that a careful dance was needed to move through this man-made tunnel of his. In the darkness, he put his foot on the wall and was completely unaware that he was about to make a catastrophic mistake. He pushed his body back toward the slide, and an incredible rumble of rocks and dust filled the tight tunnel. Floyd screamed in pain as he choked on the dusty debris. The crumbling continued as he thrashed in pain, trying to move his left leg from the vise that gripped his ankle. He was struck by the shocking realization that his arms were trapped as tightly as his legs.
What y'all doing, y'all, right here, bruh? What the fuck is you doing when you right here? Look at that shit.
He was
I'm talking about, look how narrow that is, and then all the niggas see is your head. How they gonna even get down there to help you?
struck by the shocking
And look at all this right here. Ain't no way around that bitch. Brother Cook.
realization that his arms were trapped as tightly as his legs. Floyd was buried in a tunnel that was only 6
I'll be making shit trying to wiggle and fall. What's that word, brother? What's that word? Not shit streaming right now, breaking down this Floyd Collins situation. I said streaming right now, breaking down this Floyd Collins situation.
You already know what I'm doing, nigga.
Catching the belt.
And I'm about to have a headphone shit today.
Oh, your headset shit coming?
Yeah, my baby mama gonna give me one.
Alright, bet. I'm finna join that bitch. Give me like 30 minutes. Alright. That's my brother. Alright, yeah, bro. If that was me, bro, I'd be trying to wiggle and put like debris and rocks and shit. I'd be trying to like wiggle it in there, bro. I ain't gonna lie.
16 inches high, and in a wormhole over 140 feet.
Alright, so look. This is where he went. So this is where he got stuck. He hit that, all that, got him stuck right there. Ain't even no way to, brother, like, there's no way to that nigga. Like, I'm thinking like you could dig
feet into the earth.
I'm thinking like you could dig like that, but the only way I could think is if you go up and around, but then all of that'll be loose. I think if you dig down, out, and then come like that. Nah, brother, you cooked.
It was a shocking pain.
Ain't no way of saving
But this
that
wasn't
nigga.
the first time Floyd had been trapped in a cave. Just a year before, it had taken 2 days to get out of Crystal Cave, his first big caving discovery. But this time, he was all alone. It was Friday morning, and he wouldn't expect anyone to come looking for him anytime soon. He strained and struggled against the mound that buried him, with absolutely no movement in his left foot. It was trapped under a large rock and a massive pile of debris. His arms were entombed in a jumble of rocks, gravel, and dirt that packed in around his body in the small passage. Floyd took some breaths to relax himself and start the long process of waiting. Eventually, someone would come looking for him and see his jacket and hat hanging outside the cave entrance. The complete darkness and absolute silence made the dripping on his face particularly annoying. A slow drip of water was landing on his face every so often.
Now, I know some of y'all don't went to sleep with your motherfucking sink on. And you hear the all throughout the night. Nigga, that little ass water drop. A nigga, if it was raining, a nigga would be sleep. But the inconsistent out of nowhere, you sleep. Like, nah, niggas ain't doing that, bro. Fuck that. You know how annoying that is?
A smattering of sand
But niggas will hear that, but won't hear that fire alarm system. For sure.
escaped the cavity above him and piled on his already impossible position. After hours of laying trapped and straining his muscles against the immovable rocks, he fell asleep for a small escape from this nightmare. When Floyd woke, he was jolted to the reality of his insane position. It was pitch blackness, and his face was wet, with no way to reach up and wipe the water away. He shook his head back and forth in the only movement he had available to him. He screamed off and on, hoping that someone may be coming to check on him. The effort he had put into trying to move his body was exhausting. His fingers scraped against rocks and gravel, but his arms were tightly pressed against his body. The sun had set on Friday, and now morning had come without anyone knowing that Floyd was trapped. He continued his cycles
Remember,
of
this
screaming and
nigga's in
struggling
complete
against the rock,
darkness.
then passing out from exhaustion.
We ran a promotion cutting the price of Mint Unlimited in half, and it was so
Ads,
popular.
man. Not getting paid. That's just not how it's working.
The landowner's teenage son went out to check on Floyd, since he never came back the night before. It wasn't that unusual for Floyd to sleep out in one of the other buildings on the land, or even in the cave itself. Jewel Estes saw Floyd's coat and slid inside the entrance of the cave. He called out to Floyd, and a relieved Floyd called back that he needed help. Jewel was a small kid, but not really a cave guy. He squeezed through one of the tight breakdown areas, but stopped in what is called the turnaround room. He could clearly hear Floyd, but just didn't have the nerve to try to put his head through the insane opening where Floyd's voice was coming from. Floyd understood, and knew that he needed some serious help from his brothers. He sent Jewel away to get some adults who had experience with this kind of rescue. Though he was hungry and thirsty, Floyd was relieved. Someone actually knew where he was, so they would have him out in no time. He knew that more than 24 hours had passed in this position. The water continued to drip intermittently on his face, and the throbbing pain of his foot was a constant presence. He waited a few hours, and one of his brothers finally made it to the cave. He too climbed inside to see what was going on, but he couldn't reach the spot where Floyd was trapped. After more than 100 feet of crawling and squeezing, the limiting hole was staring him in the face. It was just under 9 inches high, the width of a sheet of paper. It was emotionally daunting to even try to poke your head inside, but a true physical impossibility for larger men. They sent for Floyd's younger brother, Homer. At 22 years old, he was small and had a little experience in the caves with Floyd. It was 4 o'clock on Saturday afternoon when Homer arrived and ducked
We need you, Homer. We need you to get this nigga out of here, bro.
into the cave to help his brother. Homer realized that it had been 30 hours since his brother had had food or water, and was in a truly serious situation if he hadn't been able to free himself yet. Homer squeezed past the first narrow blockade and twisted through the 100 feet of passage leading to the turnaround room. The others had in fact turned around here, but Homer had no choice. His big brother was stuck on the other side of this little hole, so he was going in. Floyd yelled out and instructed Homer on what kind of path was ahead for the next 25 feet. It was a flat, narrow passage with a jagged, rocky bottom. It wasn't an easy crawl, and required Homer to push forward with his toes while scraping along his belly. There was a little lip of rock to perch on above the slide down to Floyd. Homer thought entering the tiny passage was the tough part, but now he looked down to see his brother's face below him. The slide down to him was just 10 feet, but it was narrow, extremely narrow. He came down feet first, but the narrow tunnel would hold his body in the upright position. He would have trouble squatting down or bending over to help Floyd. Nonetheless, Floyd was happy to finally see someone down or bending over to help Floyd.
Oh my God, bro. I'm just like, bro, I'm thinking like if I was this nigga, he good, but this nigga,
Nonetheless, Floyd was happy to finally see someone inside his little cave. Homer slid down to help, but found the situation shocking. Floyd was buried up to his chest in rubble. If the slide tunnel wasn't so small, this might not have seemed so daunting, but the nature of the situation limited Homer from just reaching in and raking the rocks out of the tunnel. There was nowhere to move them to, and even if there was, reaching them would require an incredible contortion of his body. Homer brought coffee and sausage to Floyd, and it renewed his vigor in knowing his family was here to save him. Homer moved up and down the shaft, trying to pull Floyd, move rocks to free his arm, and dig out the floor of the shaft so he could squat down to reach into Floyd's tunnel. Because no one else could squeeze through the hole in the turnaround room, Homer was on his own trying to move the earth around Floyd. Each time he pulled away a rock or some dirt, more fell from the exposed, packed earth above the tunnel. Homer was desperate and worked on and off for the next 16 hours, digging, climbing, and sliding back down. He had strained his body in the most uncomfortable squat and reach position to try to make a move that would improve Floyd's situation. It was 8 o'clock Sunday morning when Homer came out of the cave. He needed assistance because he could barely walk from the exertion he had put out. He collapsed and begged someone to go down to help dig his brother out. The crowd had started to build while Homer was underground. Word had spread that Floyd was really trapped this time, and the locals began to gather to see if they could help. Several men had worked their way into the cave tunnels and came to the turnaround room. A few were paralyzed with fear and turned back straight away. It looked like a crumbling hole of boulders with rocks just dangling over the opening. A few of the men put their lights inside the hole and looked at the distance and quality of the tight tunnel. They knew Floyd was currently trapped because of a collapse, so risking it in this hole would be foolish. There were others who were willing to try, but just could not fit in the small opening. Throughout the day on Sunday, the gathering crowd discussed options on how to get Floyd free and went in and out of the cave tunnels without ever passing through the small squeeze. The entire day Sunday, no one was able to reach Floyd to offer him water, food, or comfort. It was now 3 full days of being trapped.
Fuck that, bring the Glock. Shoot me.
It was shocking to Floyd. He was grateful that food and drink were brought in, but his situation was not improved. His arms were still trapped, his foot crushed, and there seemed to be no great plan to get him out. Floyd was feeling weak and cold. His body was laying in a pool of cold, muddy water and jagged rocks. His body temperature was dropping, and he was losing strength each day. He was completely at the mercy of those gathered outside. Homer was drained, but woke to find that no one else was able to reach his brother. He grabbed a bucket and some coffee and made his way back to the cave. His muscles were sore, and his body was damaged from scraping himself through the slide tunnel over and over. His fingers were raw from the desperate struggle to move the pile off his big brother's weakened body. But what could he do? He yelled at the crowd to help him, and they shamefully looked away, knowing they weren't able to make themselves past the ridiculous hole that was the gateway to Floyd's rescue. Homer spent the evening removing rocks from the slide and pile around Floyd. News had traveled that a man had been stuck in a cave for 3 days now, so reporter William Skeets Miller showed up to report on the growing story. Hundreds of people had started showing up just to gawk at the gathering rescue teams, and it had become quite the spectacle. Miller crawled inside the twisting tunnel until he came to the turnaround room. He was shocked by the size of the rocky hole in the corner, barely bigger than a sheet of paper. Luckily, Skeets Miller was a wiry guy, weighing only 117 pounds. He thought if Floyd and Homer had made it, then he probably could too. The jumble of rocks was hardly a tunnel, but Miller pulled his chest and hips through the opening, with some twisting and contortion.
Bro, imagine how bold of a nigga you gotta be to do that just for some information. Dog.
He was actually through this tiniest hole. The path on the other side was less than 16 inches high, so he just crawled forward to a small ledge. He could see over the edge was a 10-foot drop to where Floyd was trapped. Even though he found the nerve to push through the tiny squeeze in the turnaround room, he was now faced with a new fear looking down the slide. The pit off the ledge was a narrow drop, at a 30-degree angle. The shaft was narrow and flat, like a chimney. It was enough room to slide his body to the bottom, but he wouldn't be able to move his arms well or bend over to look into Floyd's trap. At this point, he was going to slide down and offer Floyd some coffee while he asked his questions. Floyd's face was covered with a cloth, which he promptly removed. Instantly, Floyd asked that he put it back. The torture of the water droplets had been steady hitting his face for 3 days, and he couldn't take it any longer. Skeets asked his questions, and quickly gave Floyd a drink before scrambling back up the shaft to the ledge. Skeets Miller was stunned. He had never seen such a hopeless situation, and really couldn't imagine how they would be getting him out. Once he was out, he wrote up his story and sent it out over the wires. He was haunted by what he saw. He had only been down there for 20 minutes, and couldn't imagine how Floyd was coping after 75 hours of being trapped in there. Miller was sure that the many experts on site would have Floyd out in no time, so he left it to the professionals.
I don't know.
Although there were many experts giving opinions on what to do, very few viable plans were proposed. Professionals from many fields spent hours thinking through the various aspects of air quality, temperature, rock formations, size, and constraints on Floyd's position. With all of their expertise, not one of them was willing or able to squeeze past the tiny hole in the turnaround room. Skeets Miller's trip down had boosted Floyd's spirits, but it was already Monday afternoon, and Homer had been the only person who had actually done anything to possibly free his brother. The news story really took off, and the nation was captivated by the man stuck inside the cave. But all this interest and gawking did nothing to move forward a rescue plan. A local firefighter, Lieutenant Robert Burden, showed up with a plan. He was going to pull Floyd free with ropes and a harness. It was a questionable idea, but honestly nothing else was really working. Homer removing sand and rock by himself would take weeks, and Floyd just didn't have that kind of time. Burden knew that there was a risk that they might even pull Floyd's foot off, but it was an outcome that everyone was willing to face, even Floyd himself. Burden squeezed into the narrow shaft, becoming just the third person to get face-to-face with Floyd. He was astonished at Floyd's predicament. He could barely bend down to reach into the short tunnel where Floyd lay buried. The shaft he was standing in was a chimney, keeping him from fully bending his knees or switching arms from the up or
I really got a question, bro. What make a nigga see a small entrance other than some pussy and say, I'm finna go in it? What make a nigga do that?
down position. He struggled to wrap the harness around his chest and shoulders because very little of Floyd was fully exposed. Homer had done some work to clear gravel and rocks from around Floyd's upper body, but more rocky debris just continued to tumble down. Once it was set, Burden was already sweating and pained from the difficult position. He was so confident in his plan that he quickly called for Miller and Homer to get into the inner section of the tunnel, up on the ledge, and help him pull. The three men pulled with everything they had, while Floyd screamed out in an incredible amount of pain. Unfortunately, the effort failed to put any real tension on the foot that was trapped, but mostly pressed Floyd's face and chest against the jagged pile of rocks on top of him. He couldn't expand his chest to breathe, and they were literally crushing him. It was 5 o'clock on Monday, February 2nd, and another plan had ended in failure. It seemed impossible that despite all the commotion, effort, and collective expertise up top, not a shred of progress had been made to free Floyd. But that was about to change.
What can a nigga other than Superman? Johnny. Well, Johnny, go on, show me what you got, boy.
9 o'clock that night, Floyd's longtime friend Johnny Gerald arrived, sure that Floyd would get out, because he always had before. Just a year earlier, Johnny had helped rescue him from Crystal Cave, where he spent 2 days underground. Johnny was an experienced caver, so when Floyd heard that his old friend was here, he immediately yelled out in relief that Johnny would be able to get him out. Like those before him, Johnny moved through the tunnels of the cave to the turnaround room. He saw the hole in front of him and felt a twinge of nerves. Floyd was a lot smaller than he was. Johnny had always been a bit stocky, but his strength could usually make up for what he lacked in height. In this case, physical strength was no real advantage, but his mental strength was essential. He jammed his body through the tiny hole, dislodging some small rocks as he moved through. The silty dusting that fell all around him was frightening. He belly crawled to the ledge and looked down to see the face of his old friend at the bottom of the narrow shaft. Floyd felt the first moment of joy in days.
It ain't a fucking thing a nigga can do or pay me to do this. Nothing! Nothing!
He was reinvigorated with hope that he might just make it out of this hole, with his foot intact. Johnny tried to slide his body down feet first, but was wedged in the narrow shaft. He adjusted and pushed, but was afraid of getting stuck before helping Floyd at all. It was clear that he just would not fit. For most people, they would accept that they had honestly tried, but the rescue would have to be left to others. But not Johnny. He could hear the desperation in Floyd's voice, and just could not bear to leave. Johnny spent the next 3 hours chipping away rock in the narrow shaft. He chiseled at areas that pinched in together, carefully catching the chips to prevent hitting Floyd down below. By midnight, Johnny was tired, but ready to try again. This time, he was able to slide down the shaft and reach Floyd in the narrow tunnel below. For the next 6 hours, Johnny put his muscle to good use. He filled buckets with rocks and gravel that had buried Floyd's chest. Each effort required him to press his head in an awkward angle to reach his arms into Floyd's tunnel. He pulled and scraped and filled the buckets. They were hauled up and dumped so he could make some room to free Floyd's arms and hopefully get that rock off of his foot. After a grueling 6 hours of squatting and bending, straining every muscle, Johnny had gone as far as he could go. His stocky frame could not reach any farther than Floyd's upper thigh area. It was now early Tuesday morning, and Johnny headed back up to rest for a short time. After Johnny had gone up, Floyd laid alone in his narrow tunnel for the next 12 hours, and it was especially tough. It seemed like so much progress had been made, but the ultimate problem still existed. No matter how hard he pulled or twisted, there was no moving his foot. He was cold and truly afraid. He was lying in a pool of muddy water that was 50 degrees, and the blankets they brought in didn't stop the chill in his bones. Floyd had been stuck for more than 4 full days and hadn't seen the sun since early Friday morning. He was feeling strange and starting to hallucinate about angels and sleeping in his own bed. The time creeped by slowly, and he wondered when someone would be back to help him. And so, he waited. Skeets Miller had continued to file reports on what was happening with Floyd's entrapment, but checked in on Tuesday afternoon to discover that he was still in the same spot, and no plans had come together to get his foot free. The overwhelming problem continued to be that no one was willing to squeeze through the impossible hole that separated Floyd from all the experts. Miller was moved. He realized that he was among a select few who were able to reach Floyd, so he gathered all the cave workers he could and decided to continue with Johnny's work since he was much smaller. At 5:30 on Tuesday evening, he returned to the narrow shaft and used a bucket to continue removing the loose rocks and gravel around Floyd's legs. He had to squeeze into the tunnel with Floyd and press his body to the side for each small handful of rocky earth. Skeets was steadily clearing bucket after bucket until he could get a better look at the offending rock. As this day progressed, some workers had strung a set of lights through the tunnel to reach down to the shaft area. This extra lighting revealed what had not been understood until now. The rock wasn't just heavy and pressing on Floyd's foot, it had slipped down into the crack of the cavern below. This created a wedge which trapped the rock so tightly that neither pushing nor pulling would move it. After a close inspection, Miller went up to talk with the gathered experts. Of all the supplies they had, the only thing that could possibly fit into the tiny hole was a crowbar and a small jack. It wasn't ideal, but it would have to do. Skeets was running purely on adrenaline now, and felt a surge of hope that Floyd might be free in just a few hours. He settled back into his awkward perch in the bottom of the shaft. The jack and crowbar were slowly pushed into the end of the tunnel near Floyd's feet. Miller couldn't reach that far, but he pushed with the tips of his fingers to slide the jack in place. He slowly turned the arm to try to raise the platform to the rock's edge. It was painstaking work leaning forward and reaching out with the tips of your fingers. His back spasmed, and he fought every piercing cramp while trying to make it work. It wouldn't reach, so he moved it again, and then a third time, each effort requiring a contortion of his body to barely make a move left or right. He collapsed and heaved with exhaustion. The quiet, calming words of Floyd burned in his mind. Gently, Floyd encouraged, "You can do it, fella. I believe in you, fella." Miller could not give up on this man. He called for some wooden blocks and went through a series of positioning and repositioning, trying to lift the rock even a tiny bit. At one point, the jack had a nice grip on the rock's edge, and each tiny quarter turn was holding. Skeets turned a little and held it, then turned some more, sensing that the rock was actually starting to lift. Then, the whole contraption collapsed with a quiet clank. He tried again, and again, each time making some small adjustment, but never making any progress on moving the rock. At 1 a.m., after 8 long hours of trying, he collapsed with exhaustion. Both mentally and physically, he was completely beat. He wrapped the last light bulb in the string around Floyd's neck for warmth and retreated to the surface. He just wanted to cry from exhaustion, anger, and pity.
So the other night, my family was deciding what to watch on Apple TV Plus because it comes with a Sapphire Reserve card.
Niggas,
so I said,
man.
"What's your favorite show?" And they all said, "Slow Horses." So it's honestly fine they didn't say my show. I'm not sensitive at all, so
Hurry
I love
up,
Gary
bro.
Oldman.
You already got paid.
Does your garage floor bother
Another
you?
one?
Tired of your old,
Bro.
cracked, and stained floor? Or have a bad epoxy
Why
job?
people don't do
It was now the start of a new day. Wednesday, February 4th.
almost 7
Some men
days.
from the Kentucky Rock and Asphalt Company went in to take a look at the stability of the tunnels. Their work to shore up the front section of the cave really helped open up the pathways and make it passable for most of the rescuers' attempts. The problem was that as you climbed deeper into the cave, the walls and ceiling were sagging and bulging, starting to literally close in on the pathway. Workers in the turnaround room were trying to figure out if they could widen the tiny hole, when a frightening rumble was heard from within. The workers informed the team above the devastating news that there had been a cave-in. The entire tunnel was unstable, and anyone going inside would be risking their own life. Johnny Gerald again stood up and offered to go inside. He slowly moved through the tight passages and listened for any additional rockfalls. He got to the area of the cave-in and did what only Johnny could do. He got to work moving the rocks. It seemed like a hopeless task, with obstacle after obstacle. One rock at a time was cautiously pulled away, careful not to disturb the rocky gravel perched just above his own head. This effort took more than 8 hours, hunching and laying, trying to reach his arms in a painfully exhausting overhead reach. Just when he didn't think he could move anymore, he was able to secure a small opening that revealed the light still glowing inside. Floyd was still communicating, though he seemed to be fading after nearly 6 days of being trapped. Johnny knew that he would have to get a wild burst of adrenaline to pull these final rocks away and then make an attempt to save his friend. It was 10:30 at night now, and finally the path was opened once again. Johnny went out to collect tools to chisel away at the rock on Floyd's foot. He gathered the men, who would be part of the bucket brigade, to move the final rocks and gravel from around Floyd's legs. They were full of confidence that this would somehow be the successful effort to get Floyd out alive. They crawled through to the turnaround room and were stunned by what they saw. The ceiling had poured into the narrow passage leading down to Floyd. The cave-in was bigger and heavier than before, with the only path now being swamped in a sea of rocks, gravel, mud, and debris. The melting snow had swelled the walls and ceiling, and the weight just couldn't be held back. Johnny yelled out to Floyd, and he returned the call with a yell of his own. He was alive, and Johnny could not just leave him there. The walls seemed to be heaving and breathing, ready to suffocate him at any moment. The other men backed out of this area, back to the reinforced entrance. Johnny was alone, digging in the pile of dirt, ragged and desperate to have something go his way. It was sickening. If he turned and left, he would essentially be abandoning his friend's only chance at rescue. He scooped out the new debris in the hole, and it just refilled from an endless source above him. Larger rocks started tumbling down the mound, and Johnny was suffering. He filled his bucket and heard new rumblings. More silted rain came down on his head, face, and back. It was truly a death trap. Johnny resigned himself to the hardest decision of his life, but he had a family of his own. He retreated to the entrance, while new piles of gravel and rock accumulated in the path. He sat down and cried. He was done. It was now clear that although Floyd was still alive inside the tight tunnel, climbing in to rescue him would not be survivable. The governor brought in the National Guard, and the state finally took control of the rescue effort, with a plan to dig a hole straight down to Floyd's location. This would give them a chance to excavate around him and bring him up to the surface through a reinforced shaft. On Thursday, February 5th, the 7th day of his entrapment, digging began. They were quite optimistic, expecting to reach Floyd within 30 hours. They needed to dig a shaft down 55 feet, then dig laterally to reach the narrow passage leading to Floyd. The enthusiasm waned as hours turned into days, and progress slowed to a crawl. There were problems with equipment, collapses, hard soil, heavy rains, and personnel disputes. This 30-hour dig stretched over the next 12 days. Yes, 12 full days of digging.
What?
During this time, there were news stories and radio serials about Floyd. There was a military inquest to see what went wrong in the initial rescue effort. There were professionals coming and going with dozens of ideas on how to get to Floyd faster. As they got closer and closer, it was thought that they heard coughing deep in the shaft, keeping hopes alive that Floyd may still be living. He had a trickle of water, so it was possible for him to survive. The light bulb that had been hung around his neck was being monitored for changes in the electrical pulse. It was thought that there was some interference with the electricity each time Floyd breathed. For days, they were monitoring the scratchy interference, coming through nearly 20 times a minute. This bulb was helping to keep Floyd a bit warmer as well. On Friday, February 13th, the bulb that had been keeping Floyd warm burnt out. There was no more signal on the line of any kind. It was 2 full weeks that Floyd had been trapped and suffering, an astonishing amount of time under such a mental and physical nightmare. The shaft diggers continued on until Monday, February 16th, when they finally broke through the tunnel and entered the cave shaft. The first man through the tunnel was only a few feet from Floyd. It was quickly determined that Floyd was dead. The coroner came down and formally made a determination of death. He stated that Floyd had lived for around 14 days trapped in the tunnel. He appeared to have only been dead for 3 days. It was stunning. After the final cave-in, Floyd had just laid alone in the cave, with only a trickle of water and the use of one arm, for 9 days before he died. Floyd was an eager and talented cave explorer.
No, he wasn't. Floyd was a dumbass nigga.
A time when it would have meant everything to his family if he could discover a touring cave. He dedicated 12 hours a day, for weeks, trying to find that one special place he could commercialize. In the end, he found exactly what he was looking for, because Sand Cave became a household name, along with Floyd Collins. The nation mourned his death and was petrified by the way it lingered on in a painful and drawn-out manner. The passion of his family, friends, and even strangers to help Floyd escape was truly palpable. Their heroic efforts in climbing down into a nightmarish squeeze of rocks and earth should be remembered along with Floyd's life and passion. Floyd's body was moved to his family farm a few months later and buried near his own crystal cave. Later, when the cave was acquired by the National Park Service, he was interred in the Mammoth Cave Baptist Cemetery.
Bro, this nigga... I don't even know what to say about that. That's...
I'm going to show you how to make survival fishing line and a hook using only natural materials that you can find out in the woods. This is dog bane, and it's one of the best plants you can use for making natural cordage because of how strong its fibers are. I'm breaking up the dead stalks to peel off the stringy material. Then I'll roll it around in my hands to get rid of the brittle outer layer. Take some strands and start twisting it until it kinks in the middle. Twist the top set of strands clockwise, then grab both and twist counterclockwise. Then repeat that over and over until it's as long as you need it. I'll use less fibers fibers when I get toward the end, so that my leader is as thin as fishing line. I'll splice more material in when I run out and continue the process. So I just have it thick up here and it tapers down real thin. For a hook, I like to use thorns from some kind of briar. Carve a slight notch on the stem, then tie it on with the thorn facing up. Or you can carve a gorge hook like this, from wood or bone. When fish swallow it, it'll flatten out when you pull on the line and get caught in the guts. Now we need bait, then tie it onto the hook. Now I have it attached to the end of this stick. Cast it out. I'm going to show you how to make survival fishing line.
I be looking at shit like that, like, am I gonna need that shit one day? Bro, I don't even know how to feel about that nigga, bro. This nigga just went into a cave. That's the second nigga I know who go into these little ass caves and die. But in his case, he could have been out. They could have helped him, but he was supposed to got out. But he just didn't. Bro, I be watching crazy shit like that, like, bro, no fucking way, bro. What is the most important upgrade on your old PC? iOS reinstallation, new graphics card, new SSD, instead of header. Instead of HDD or more RAM, obviously new graphics card. Oh, no SSD. Okay. Sorry, it's my son. What up, big bro?
This on?
Yeah. What's that word, brother?
The house log?
You said what?
I said the house log.
Nah, I don't think so.
Alright, me and my partner finna go out there real quick.
Yeah, let me ride with y'all, brother. Here, let me.
It's only a 2-seater. Hey,
right.
nah, but we finna pull up right there.
Yeah, just pick me up then, brother.
Alright.
What the fuck? Whoa, bro. What the fuck is going on, bro? Bro, can somebody help a nigga? Look, they car. Is there anything I could do about this? Bro, I am just falling in the world, bro. This is crazy. We gonna do reload. Skid. I'm literally falling into the world, bro. Is there like nothing I can do? What's wrong, son? I ain't gonna lie to you, Grizzly. I wanted to play with you, but nigga, $80 is crazy. $80 is beyond crazy, brother. I'm not paying that. That's fire. Updates. Okay, that's fire.
That shit ain't real.
That's fire. Uh, uh. Please provide all information to be considered ladies for T Grizzly, blah, blah, blah. Oh yeah, I can finesse. Okay. Okay, I can finesse. Does your stream hex? No. I'm a street nigga.